Hello, this is Brad Wiseman. You'll listen to Real Estate and You. We are back again talking about real estate, talking about all kinds of things. And here in the studio, I have a return guest, which is really exciting. It's Kelly Nixon Burns. She is from Arrowhead Emotional Wellness. They do psychotherapy and clinical counseling. So we're going to dive right in because we have a show we want to talk about. Professional relationships matter. You know, when you said this, I thought, whoa, that's deep.
It is.
It is kind of, I guess, right? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So tell me, what made you come up with that?
Everything that I know has been taught to me through my personal experiences. And it's been something that I've been recognizing both in the real estate business, because when we had our first podcast, I was coming off of buying the building for my business. And now this is at the second podcast. I'm coming off of having made a real estate purchase in my personal life and learning how important that is. I started paying attention to it with Arrowhead Emotional Wellness when people are saying, well, why would a client come to you where you're not accepting insurance at this time instead of their insurance? And I said, the therapeutic relationship matters.
Yeah.
In every situation that I have been recently, I have had to count on the professional hearing me, seeing me, and knowing better than what I need.
But that's also, you know, that's a maturity level too for you, because it takes a lot to take advice or have somebody regurgitate what you said to them. And knowing you, they go, well, wait a minute, maybe Kelly have you ever thought of this instead of this?
And I think there's trust involved there.
Exactly. Absolutely. That is all trust.
For example, with the house, we kept saying, we want an old house. We want to fix her up. We want it to have character. We want it to have this. And so then when Michelle, my realtor, I know
Michelle McCartney.
It's hard to believe.
I love Michelle.
As close as Brad and I are that I keep saying Michelle. So she said, I want you to take a look at this, the current house we're in. I want you to take a look at this. And at first glance, I'm like, why? That's nothing like
interesting.
And we get there and we're like, oh my gosh, she nailed it. She nailed it.
Now, is it a fixer-upper?
No.
It's not a fixer-upper. It's not even old.
But everything about it had the character. There's French doors everywhere.
Funny.
There's crown molding everywhere. There's, I mean, so much has been done to the yard with the landscaping. And it's just, it's perfect.
I love
for us.
But that is, you don't know this, but I know this because of being in the business 30 years, just as Michelle's been in for 35 years. I mean, she's been around and I've learned a lot from her. She's amazing. You don't realize that so many times people tell us that this is what they want. The one I always get is, we want 2 acres of land because I don't want to be near anybody. I want to have lots of space and I want to see the next house. And then they tell me that they work 80 hours a week. And I'm like, you do know that 2 acres and being out in the country is all time. You're going to be working on that house on your yard all weekend. You're then going to have to drive an extra 20 minutes because now you're not convenient to anything. And what happens is a lot of times they get out and they look at that and they go, you know what? This isn't what I thought it was. This isn't what I wanted. And so it is interesting how we hear these things and we're like, I don't know about that.
Right.
But you have to trust, they have to trust in our opinion a little bit too, to say, if I say to them, are you sure? Have you thought about this? Are you going to have kids? Because once the kids get into sports, you're going to be driving around all the different places. You know that. I mean, you did that with Kelsey.
And
with
it's
cheering,
hearing
I guess, right?
people, but knowing people.
Right.
You know, when clients come to Arrowhead, they'll say, oh, I have so much anxiety.
Right.
Well, but when you get them to describe how does it present to you, you find out really they're experiencing something completely different, but they're calling it anxiety.
Right.
It's their ability to communicate what it is that's no longer working for them. And sometimes it's this is about your relationship, or this is about your career. And then we go into career counseling, or we go into couples counseling. So you listen to what the client thought they were coming to you for, and instead supplied some challenging questions and got to the heart of what it is they truly need.
Right. Well, and I think that's because Our society throws the word anxiety around very easily.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I'm
And
I've
PTSD. They love
oh, yeah.
PTSD and
Or
narcissism.
panic attack and panic attack
Yeah.
too. "Oh, I had a panic attack when I was in the grocery store because they didn't have any bread." You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's
right.
not a panic attack,
Yes.
okay? That's
Yeah.
not.
Those of
That's
us who've actually had panic
yeah,
attacks need them to
no,
slow
yeah,
down on
and
what they're calling a
it's
panic
not
attack.
about the bread. Yeah, no, that to me, no bread is a no shit moment. Because if you
Right.
need bread, you're like, "Oh shit, I need
That's
bread."
and then you move on.
Yeah, you move on, exactly. So and that's what happens is that we use these words very easily. Oh yeah, I mean, I think about, oh, they must be bipolar. How many times do we
Yes.
throw that around?
And it's so insulting to people
Yeah,
who really are challenged by
exactly,
bipolar.
absolutely, so true, so true. So tell me about. So you bought the business, okay, and then you bought a house. Which transaction was easier? Neither one.
Okay. So when it came to the business,
Yeah.
I was all in enthusiasm.
Mhm.
When it came to the home, I was all in anxiety.
Oh, interesting.
Now, enthusiasm and anxiety feel the same in the body.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I would
Heart starts
say,
racing. Yep.
yes, it
Mhm.
was equally uncomfortable.
Right.
But the anxiety piece for me with the house was a vulnerability issue
Right.
because
Right.
don't forget, I didn't move into the house alone.
Right. I forgot about that. Yes, you
So,
have something on your finger too.
yes,
That
yes.
Kelly just got engaged, so we can talk about that. Which congratulations, it's
Thank you.
awesome,
Thank
and
you.
I'm very happy for you. Yeah.
So, buying the house with someone,
Yeah.
talk about communication.
Oh yeah.
Is this
Well,
what
you
you
learn a
want?
lot
Is this
about
what I want?
somebody
Quick,
real quick.
quick.
Yeah.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah. So how did that go?
It was fun too.
Okay.
And again, I can't say enough. So the business that we're talking about,
Hmm.
Arrowhead Emotional Wellness,
Yeah.
I also have a different LLC, Providence Wellness,
Oh.
and that's related because Providence is such a huge thing for me in my life, and it's demonstrated always by
Hmm.
the things that happen not to me but for me. So, for example, we put offers in on other houses
Right.
before this.
Right.
And had we gotten those in the one house, we would have absolutely killed each other
Oh
already
wow.
because it would
Was
have
it a
been way
fixer
too
upper
small.
or no?
No,
No, it was too small.
it was too small.
Okay.
And we really thought we wanted it. And it got down to the only reason we didn't get it is because we had a contingency there that the other buyer didn't. And it was easier for the seller to go, well, we don't want
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Like, we need the done
Yeah,
deal.
contingencies are like a no-no these days. Yeah,
Mhm.
in
Oh,
in
yeah,
our
it
in
would
our
have.
world, the word contingency is like saying you're a jerk.
Yeah,
I mean, just forget about it. You're not
forget
gonna
it.
it's not gonna happen.
And now we're like, yeah, the universe really had our back on this one because it
Absolutely.
was too small in the house we're in. We so this the reason why the relationship is a success, we
Mhm.
have our own living rooms and our own
Oh,
bathrooms.
wow. So
Mhm.
that's really nice. So you're living in 2 different worlds. This is gonna be a really different marriage, I'll tell you. So is it a semi-detached that you bought one half, you bought the other, or what? How
No.
does this work?
But
Uh,
we learned like as we went
Absolutely.
along and it seems every big thing
Yeah.
you can look back on and say what didn't work out for me really worked out for me.
Yeah.
And that's how we manage anxiety too. We understand that the only control that we have is to know that we're not in control
Yep.
and things are happening for us. And
Yep.
while we may not understand it now,
Mhm.
it will come to light that it was for us. And so we breathe,
Mhm.
we let go, we stay in faith.
Yeah, and it's all on purpose.
Mhm.
That's, I think, one of the things that
Absolutely.
we all have to admit to ourselves or look back. And there's so many things that happened in my life, and then what really made the on purpose thing like really, really real for me is the 2 children I have, because I would not have the 2 children I have if it wasn't for the path that I took. Now that path looked crazy at
Mhm.
times. It looked like it
Mhm.
was maybe wrong, but there are no wrong things.
That's
It's
right.
just it's just choices and places that you go in your life, and you come to these crossroads, and you go either left or right, and you
And
make that choice.
nobody's life is a straight line.
Heck
We
no.
anticipate that it will be, we're going to do this and then we're going to do
Yeah.
this and then but really we're more like boats just being blown
Yeah.
around on the water. You have to try a little of this and try a little of that, see what works, let
Yeah.
go of that.
Absolutely, and I believe that so much. So what's funny about the whole thing comes back to listening. We kind of talked about that, and you're saying professional relationships matter. So it's interesting when you take the word relationship and you take professional off and you take matter off. Okay, and when I look at the word relationship, it doesn't matter what the relationship is, because we said these things just today on this talking about the professional relationships matter. The relationship part is trust,
Mhm.
integrity, listening. Now, isn't it funny how every relationship needs that? Whether it's
Absolutely.
professional, personal, family, whatever it is, they all need those things. And it's funny how the relationship word is always the common denominator is like I said, integrity, trust, listening. And then like you said, it's about listening and then taking those words. And a lot of times we don't know because we're in here. We're in here we don't see from the outside. We don't look in the mirror and go, you know what? That's not, no, I need this actually, maybe.
Well, think about you're saying listening.
Yeah.
In order to listen, the
Hmm.
other person has to have the ability to communicate
Oh,
and
so true.
communicate
Yeah.
in an authentic way.
Hmm.
Where I see relationships go wrong is
Hmm.
someone's going along to get along,
Yep.
or they're not saying, no, that doesn't work for me. If you're not communicating
So true.
what you really want and don't want, the other
Hmm.
person doesn't even know who you are. They
It's
don't even
so
know who
true.
they're dating if you're not
So true.
authentically being you.
And that's true because what they're listening to then is completely different than what's in your mind, than what's
Mhm.
in your head. Yeah, you're right. Communication's key. And
And
that's one of
it's
the things.
hard.
Oh, it's very hard.
It's hard because particularly, and this is where we go in career counseling,
Yeah.
when someone feels like they're not being promoted because they don't have the ability to
Hmm.
communicate or stand up or talk to a big room. It's knowing that working on that skill will
Hmm.
pay off in all of your relationships, and all of your relationships, the success of those depend on your ability
Hmm.
to have uncomfortable conversations
Yep.
that are boundaries,
Yep.
that are wants and dislikes and those kinds of things. And it's hard to say no to people that you want to impress. It's hard to say no to superiors,
Yeah. Absolutely.
bosses.
Uncomfortable conversations is one of those things that is a learned trait or a learned thing because I'll tell you it is no, and I think it's because as humans we don't want confrontation. We don't like confrontation. When people say, "Oh, I don't like confrontation," well, I don't really know of anybody unless they're a jerk that likes confrontation. But if you change it from confrontation to real communication,
Mhm.
that to me is really what it's about. It's real communication.
And is it confrontation or is it conflict?
True.
And conflict
Mhm.
can be beneficial
Yeah.
to a relationship, personal or professional, because you're talking it through and
Yeah.
getting a clearer concept of what the other person is
Yeah.
trying to say.
And they might have a good idea.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
helped me see
Yeah.
what I'm not seeing.
Yeah.
That's what conflict is.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny. So at the end of the day, you have an awesome house you love.
I love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
And you have a business that is moving up. You just got the by the way, if you can see this, I don't know which I guess is this my camera here? This is a great brochure. She just got done by Susie Ray Design. We can give
Susie
a little plug,
Ray
right?
just arrived
Just
today.
arrived today, and
Mhm.
this is just awesome. And if you're having anything that you want to talk about, I would say talk to Kelly or one of her other people that work here. I don't know what you would call those, your
Yes.
employees or
Mhm.
partners or whatever
Our
they are,
team.
or your team. There's a good
Yes.
word. Team's a great word. So give her a call 484-709-2441. Thank God I have that big number written out on the table for me because I am blind. I didn't have to put my glasses on, which is great. But I think that's great. And then go back real quick. You had said I had asked you before we started the podcast because we have a little bit of time yet. You started this business and you had all these things in your mind, these ideas of what it was going to look like. Okay. And I just know from starting things that then you get in it and it's never it's not ever exactly the way it looked when you're in it.
Right.
What have you learned in the 6 months time?
So my surprises
Yeah.
are I have developed a caseload of adolescent females.
Oh,
I
wow.
have a lot of young teenage girls that I'm enjoying,
Oh, that's great.
and I hadn't worked with that population as a therapist. When I was in secondary education, I kind of had a collection of
Yeah.
teenage girls who would come by
Yeah.
and
Cause
talk to them,
yeah,
and having them in my office and being able to help them has been really fun. We also have a lot
that's
of
cool.
children coming in.
Oh, wow.
We have the Courtney and Amanda both work with young children as well.
Cool.
And I hadn't anticipated all of that youthful energy in my building.
Which is very
And
cool.
I love it. But
Yeah.
sadly, I think a lot of it is because of the pandemic and the
Yep.
changes in school, and they're not getting the socialization and the post-pandemic emergent anxiety that they're getting coming back to school. So being able to help the adolescents and the children
Mhm.
with all of that angst
Yeah.
and work on building self-esteem, working on their communication skills
Yeah.
with their peers, because how many months they've spent doing it through texting.
Yeah.
You're muted in
Yeah.
your Zoom classroom, so you're only getting your FaceTime or
Yeah.
your texting. To talk in person again is a struggle for them.
So it is really affecting the young people, the COVID, the shutdown, the pandemic, the not being in classes, or the classes are disrupted, or we have to do Zoom and we have to that's real. I mean, it's definitely happening, right? I mean, you see it firsthand, I guess.
I can't say that I can speak as intelligently on that as
Yeah.
someone in the education field
Okay.
could, but from what I'm seeing
Yeah.
coming through my office, I
Yeah.
would absolutely say
Okay.
so.
Okay. And you know what's interesting? We were talking about this, Carson's 6. So like 20% of his life has
Wow.
been involved in this. Think about that. And that's the part that when you think about it, somebody said that to me about their child, and it hit me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I never thought about that. Think about 20% of your life having to deal with what we've been dealing with. Because he's 6. We're at 2 years now, 2.5 years, whatever it is now, we're dealing with this stuff. And that's a big part of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Masks being 20% of your life.
No, I don't like it. I don't
Yeah,
like it.
and not seeing people's faces, seeing this,
Mhm.
20% of your life is just it's not good. And I think as soon as we can get away from this, I think the
Thinking
better.
about what they're missing out on, when you think about how
Yeah.
you would, well, I mean, I'm sure you got in trouble for talking just as much as I did in school.
Oh,
mean,
no, I don't know what you mean, class clown? I
You
don't
didn't
think I
have
was
to
ever
deal,
that.
I mean, to not have the opportunity to have your chair pulled out into the hallway because you
Oh,
refused
yeah, exactly.
to listen.
What's
I mean,
wrong with
you're
that?
missing what they're
Hey,
missing out on.
going through first grade twice was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Just,
I bet it
I'm
was.
just letting you know that. Somebody asked, I said went to Twin Valley, Robinson Elementary. I said, I went K through 4. I said, actually, no, I lie. I went K, first grade, second, third, and fourth. So it's a little
Yeah.
different for me,
Yeah, but that's the ADHD.
It's exactly right.
That's what that
It's
is.
exactly
And
right.
we didn't know then.
We didn't know anything back then about that. So I am going to say we have to end the show. Believe it or not, we talked for like 15 minutes.
Well, we talked for 15 minutes before we talked for 15
Yes,
minutes.
this is true. So it's probably like a half hour on the show or whatever. But I just want to say thanks for coming out again. It was great. 484-709-2441. It's Arrowhead Emotional Wellness. And her building's on here too, which is really cool. It's in West Reading. Give them a call. You can even go on. It's arrowhead-counseling.com, right?
Correct. Yes.
And so that's a good way to find them too and see what they do and check things out there.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks so much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right. There you have it. Kelly Nixon Burns. That was awesome. That was fun. We're going to bring her back again just to talk about more things. It's actually fun because it's not as much about real estate as it is just about people and what we go through and how to be a better person, all those things, right? I think it's great. So thanks so much, and we'll talk to you soon.